easy to be a little worried about Dragon Age Dreadwolf. There are plenty of reasons to be worried about it. You could be worried that it'll get delayed again. You could worry that it will fail to compare to other great recent RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3. And most of all, you could be worried that it will be crushed under the collective weight of our expectations. This kind of situation is something that could be called the Cyberpunk syndrome. If you recall, Cyberpunk 2077 had a lot of hype around it. CD Projekt Red promised to release a game that would be revolutionary and change the way we looked at games forevermore. And then it got released in a broken state, and multiple refunds were issued for it. But that's not what the Cyberpunk syndrome is all about. You see, even if Cyberpunk 2077 had released in a polished state, it never would have lived up to all of that hype that had been built up from over a decade of development. And it's possible that Dragon Age Dreadwolf will follow a similar pattern. Because at this point, fans of the Dragon Age series have been waiting for the game to come out for years. And after delay after delay, they are absolutely ravenous for it. And while we've been waiting for Dreadwolf to release, other great RPGs have come out, like the aforementioned Baldur's Gate 3, which Dreadwolf will no doubt be compared to upon its release, which is fairly ironic considering that BioWare made the first two Baldur's Gate games. Now, to be fair, most of the hype around Cyberpunk was due to all the marketing behind it. It overpromised and underdelivered. Meanwhile, Dreadwolf has barely had any marketing. But even with the lack of marketing, there's another reason why people are hyped for Dreadwolf, and that's due to the precedent set by the previous games in the Dragon Age series. Both Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition were pretty well received when they came out, and even Dragon Age 2, which isn't as beloved, is still pretty good. I don't know, I like it. The Dragon Age franchise is also unique in how it weaves a narrative between its games, while taking into account the player's decisions along the way. Now that will naturally get more difficult the longer it goes on, and the more decisions that BioWare has to take into account. A problem that we saw from the lackluster result of our decisions in the Mass Effect trilogy. But regardless, Dragon Age fans are still engrossed in this interactive narrative, and that's naturally gonna set their expectations sky high. Of course, expectations can be good. Elden Ring had a very similar hype cycle to Cyberpunk 2077, but unlike that game, it was able to overcome the hype and exceed expectations to be an all-time classic game. And Dragon Age Dreadwolf could do the same thing. But I'm worried that it's not gonna. It's already been delayed multiple times, which, as we all know, typically leads to more crunch for the developers. And crunch does not often give you great results. Plus, there's the fact that BioWare hasn't exactly been firing on all cylinders lately, with their last game, Mass Effect Andromeda, not being that well received. And oh my god, I forgot about Anthem. Anthem was the last game they made. Oh, I just remembered Anthem and now I'm sad. But maybe these worries are unfounded. I hope so, because I love the Dragon Age games. And I hope that Dragon Age Dreadwolf doesn't suffer from the Cyberpunk syndrome. Hopefully, all of us Dragon Age fans out there can set our expectations for this game at a reasonable level. Because if we collectively manage our expectations, we can give Dreadwolf the best chance of success. Unless it turns out like Anthem, please, for the love of God, don't let it turn out like Anthem.